I think that I'm not a revolutionary in any sense of the word. I don't mind civilization, I don't mind big cities, but it's really too bad that everything can't be made with care and by hand.
It really does feel good to work with your hands.
Oh, yeah, working with your hands is a lot better than working with your mouth.
I'm not married, and I don't intend to be married in the next 4 or 5 years. But I just really love making wedding cakes. I work for Gary Hansen. Gary's one of the best cake decorators in town.
It's too dark.
I still have a lot to learn, but someday, if I work very hard, I know I will be a better cake decorator than Gary.
The student always becomes better than the teacher. I'm going to try and surround myself with very talented people, and hopefully people that will develop into a bigger talent than myself. People can look at a cake, and if the person knows us well enough, they can tell who did it, and if they've had a good day or not. It's just like a signature.
There are a lot of things that Gary can do that'll take me years and years to do. Hanging lace is one of the hardest things to do, and one little sneeze will blow the whole thing. No lie. I know I'll get my chance because there's so many cakes to decorate. So many cakes and so little time to do them in.
I enjoy car shows. Sure, the project is there to try to make $1 off it. You have to do that. But when I'm explaining my project to someone, I'm not so much thinking about selling this project. I'm like telling them about something that I'm glad I accomplished or built or designed. When you're really interested in it, time just flies by. A day is like a half hour to me. 10 or 15 hours means nothing to put in. 7 days a week. I could get dressed up in a tie and a suit, but that's not where the action is. It's a lot more fun down here working.
I make dolls. That's what I do. I think of my designs at home, and I work on the paper patterns at home. Once there's an idea in my head, I find it very difficult to ignore it. I do special displays for stores. One of the last things I do before I actually get into the heavy woodwork is get dressed up and go into the architect's office to get his okay on the plans. Okay, you have to sit. You have to sit there. Now stay. You stay. That's good. Okay, do you want to put these up? So.
Great.
You like his freckles?
Yeah.
It's just no big occasion to me. It's like last minute, you know? It's really just making sure that I'm seeing what they're thinking.
Very good. Build away.
Okie doke. Well, I'll get the wood and get started. And you can
Give me a
come
call.
over.
I got something to show.
Let me get like another 6 inch or so. I really dig Jim because he's got this neat sense of humor. He tells me I'm a problem. I'm so much of a problem. I always want things that he doesn't seem to have, but he always finds them.
Because
I don't want it warped.
It's not going to be warped. You're too much trouble. Here's one. Here's a 12-footer.
And every once in a while he'll say, oh, I'll give you this one. Don't tell anybody it's the last time I'm going to do it, but I'll give you this one. And the next time I come, he gives me another board.
I come in this morning and Gary told me one of the decorators is sick. You know, and he says, I need a decorator. So he says, you think you can do it? I says, yeah, I can do it. Knowing back in my mind, can I?
Don't go too fast now, Angelo. Make a mistake. Are you working on the third tier, Angelo?
Yeah.
Okay. Put leaves on top of that and two lovebirds kissing. Okay. I want those lovebirds kissing, Angelo. Do it sweet and tender, okay?
Gary never said anything, but really, what it was all boiled down to, Gary wanted to see what I can do, and he was surprised to find out how well I could do.
Okay, I'll give you 4 swans on the inside.
I know I did really good that first day, and to me, this meant a lot.
Well, fiberglass is very messy, but you can do marvelous things with it. You can build anything from it. I'm now designing another new dune buggy. It's going to be a zoomy little machine. Darrell is a very key man. He's going to be real beneficial to me someday. He's got a mind of his own, and he wants to create things, too, but he don't know how to create them. Otherwise, it takes years, so he's just learning from me every chance he gets how you go about each project. Radius of the file. Flip this edge around. So don't worry about getting it thick. You don't want to come out and have a roundness. You know, your hands get trained to it, just like a sculptor or painter or artist. The shape takes hold by your own feel of the hand and your eye. Reach that crown if you don't. Well, look here, Dee. No, that don't show me. Well, no, I'm not paying attention to that. But why? Because that one there is too high. That one there's got to be knocked way down, too. See how high this one is? That one's way up there. I figure this one here, that's what I show you. I know what you're going to show me. It's got about a 1/4 inch more to go. So instead of grinding and filling all this over here, just go up a little higher to match that other one there. Yeah, but look where you got here. See, you got the same thing over here. What are you going to do when you get to this? That's got to be taken down. Take some of this down, then fill it in. Okay. Just keep working at it, and then when you make a mistake, I'll come back and make a change. That's no fun, that way. Get it on! Get it on! All right. I just don't do any complete paint jobs, painting cars anymore, unless the job really interests me or I can create something new and different. Well, for instance, like this Cadillac, where we're blending paints from one color to another color. And it's a challenge to work all these colors in, and when I was approached with the job, I thought about it 2 or 3 days before I brought it in, so I know exactly how I'm going to go about doing it. It's got to go on there even. You've got to pick up depth out of the paint. It's got to be thin just right, toned just right. You don't make a mistake. If you do, you start all over right from the beginning. It looks so very simple. Just pull this trigger and walk down the side of a car. Boy, I can do that. It don't work that way. It's not that simple. And if you want to find out, try it sometime.
So nice people say, "Oh, really, little girl? What kind of tools do you have?" And I lay something heavy on them, like I have a router and a 10-inch unisaw, I have a drill bit, I have a 20-inch bandsaw. At those moments, I can just barrage them with all the tools in the world that I use and just leave them speechless. There's not too much guesswork about what I do. I like to work with the pieces and putter along at my own pace, which can get hectic towards the end, but I still have it under control. You know, it's like I really know it. When I'm making something and it begins to shape up, in other words, when it gets to be as tall as I am, it starts becoming more of a person. It's like it takes on its own force. Everything is predictable, pretty much, except for the bandsaw, when I cut the heads. And that is the one thing where I grit my teeth and take a deep breath and turn on the machine. When I put the eyes in, I always use half-inch circles of ebony. So they're very dark and very black and very piercing. You really can get into them if you start looking at them. The thing I deal in is fantasy. That's my product. That's what I produce. Fantasies of my mind. But I also have to keep myself going with fantasies. Once in a while, when I'm working away, and maybe I've been working too hard, it's like this little bird flies by and says, "Go for a drive. Go out and buy something. You know, do anything, but just split for like an hour." I don't do it too often, but sometimes I write little things on a slip of paper and enclose them inside one of the dolls that says, I am 26 years old and I have a lot of fun making these things. In the future, they can have fun guessing about who I was. At least they know my name.
I have a lot to learn, you know, but I will be one of the best cake decorators around. I decorated that particular day 5 cakes. I did 5 cakes, and 5 cakes that were right. He didn't have to come behind me and straighten them up. Each cake that leaves, you know, you want to say that that was my best cake. Not was your last cake, but then the next one will be even better than that one.
When I finished, they're really not mine anymore. I'm sad to see them go, and my eyes will miss them because I like to have them where I can see them, and I like to look at them a lot. But it's like they've got their own thing to do now. The plan is that I make them and they go somewhere, and then they stand there and smile at people.
When you get down to the very last part of decorating, you just stand back and look at it, and to think that when it leaves here, that all people think about is coming in and eating it up. It makes me sort of sad.
Push! Push! Push!
I mean, I don't cry for hours. It's just, it hits me. As soon as they leave, maybe I'll just cry, but it's not really a sad thing. It's not a happy thing. It's just a little release of tension, I think, because they're gone.
I have no idea what a finished product looks like until you stand back and kind of take a real good look at it. Hey, that thing's really wild, Bill. After I get done with any project, I don't want to look at it anymore. I want to go on to another new one. I just got so many things in my mind and so many things I want to do.
So maybe I am in a rut. Maybe I'll make dolls forever. You just work away, doll after doll, and like each one's a different thing, you know, and there's some surprises along the way too. I can look at something that I've made and I know how it's put together, and I know every single thing about it. It's like I am really an expert on the thing that I do, and no one else knows everything that I know about this particular thing. The first step is you think about it, and the second step is you do it, and the third step is you've done it, and the fourth step is you think about another thing, and the fifth step is you do it. And